Hello everyone, welcome to Coders Camp. We are at 27th day of September LeetCode challenge, and the problem we are going to cover in this video is unique email addresses. So the input given here is a list of strings where a list of email addresses is given, and we have to return the number of email address where the email address actually received mails, and there are certain rules and conditions to identify them. So let's understand these rules with an example. So before getting into the actual example given in the problem statement, let's understand the rules given in the problem. So the first rule is dot rule, that is the email address is first being divided into two parts. The first one is local address, and then the second part is domain address. So the domain address does not have any rules. They simply gonna stay the same as such, but the rules are for the local address. So first rule is if there is a dot, and the dot should be ignored, and this email address can be represented as dot rule at leetcode.com. There is not a dot will be included in the receiving address. And goes to the second one is the plus rule. So the plus rule is nothing but whatever is left after plus will be ignored. That is only applied to the local address, not to the domain address. So now considering removing the plus, the receiving address will be plus at leetcode.com, because after plus whatever is there in the local address will be ignored. So these are the simple rules, and both the rules can be applied to a single email address, and we have to return how many addresses will be receiving the email at the end. So getting back to our actual example given in the problem statement, there are three email addresses. The first one is having dot as well as plus. So as per the rule, we have to ignore whatever is after the plus, and we have to ignore the dot. Now the email address will actually become testemail@leetcode.com. Now moving to our second one have two dots and one plus. So after plus, we have to ignore everything in the local address. So bob.kathy will be completely ignored, and two dots will be ignored in the front thing. So again, this email ID will be testemail@leetcode.com. So moving to our next one, which is having only one plus, so we simply ignore it. So now this email address is testemail@leetcode.tcode.com, because the rules are not applicable to the domain address. They are only applicable to the local address. So this is going to be different by leetcode@lee.tcode.com. So now there are two unique addresses that is going to receive email at the end. So the output is going to be true. So hope you're understanding this concept. Now how are we going to approach this? So it is going to be very simple, straightforward solution where we are going to use string manipulation and get this done. So first step we are going to do is we are going to split the given email address into local address and domain address by splitting it with the @ sign, because we have to apply the rules only to the first part of the email, not to the second part. So once we separate it, we keep the second part for finally appending it to the final string. And the first part will be going to apply with the plus and dot rule and filter finally to add it with the domain address. So first we are going to split it with the plus, and if there is a plus we are going to ignore the second half, and then we will get rest of the address only with dot. So once there is the rest of the address, we check for dots and replace them with the empty space or no space, so that we will get the rest of the local address without dots, and we finally have a string without dots and without after removing plus, and we will append that with the second part, which is the domain name, and we are going to return the result in the form of like we are going to save them in a set, and the set will be having the unique values. So finally the size of the set will be our output. So this is going to take big O of n time and n space complexity, as we are going to store them in an array and execute the number of email address given in the input string array. So let's go to the code. As I said, we are going to first have a set which is going to store the final filtered email addresses. So now we are going to separate the email addresses into two parts, which is local and domain. So the string parts will be separated or split using the at sign. So once this is split, parts of 0 will be having uh, the domain address, sorry, local address, and parts of 1 will be having the domain address. So now again with the local address, we are going to split it based on the plus sign. So now this will actually have local of 0 will have text before plus, and local of 1 will have text after plus. So we don't need local of 1 actually, because we don't need any, we have to ignore the text which is present after plus. So we now have to pick only local of 0 and put the test the next rule, which is the dot rule. So we are directly going to add to our result local of 0. In that we are going to replace the dots with empty space. And once that is added, we are going to put the rest of the part by adding the at sign and the second part of the email address, that is the domain name. So yes, this will complete the email address which is valid and add it to our set. Now our set will be having only the unique email addresses that will be returned as part of the result. So we are finally going to return its size. But then we forgot to do one thing, which is iterating the email addresses. So yes, let's run and try. Yes, so let's submit and try. Yes, the solution is accepted and runs in 16 milliseconds. So thanks for watching the video. Hope you like this video. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe and let me know in comments. Thank you.